Hi, and welcome to my week two in review video. So, I wanted to share my thoughts and reactions to your week two discussion posts and reflections posts. So, first of all, if you're still struggling to create your week two discussion post, I want to give a shout out to Araceli and Anel, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing Anel's name. They had exemplar discussion posts this week, so please look at their posts and use them as models. In regards to some themes that I saw from the posts, the discussion posts, most people identified with dialectic perspectives of constructivist learning. However, very few people said they identified with exogenesis or endogenesis perspectives. So there were some people who identified that with those perspectives. Many people connected the content from the modules to their classrooms. Luz had some very rich connections to her classrooms. Um, I also want to be very clear. A lot of people said dialectic was social constructivism. It's actually not. If you looked deeper into the reading, it's often referred to as cognitive constructivism. It's not referred to as social constructivism or a constructivist perspective. So wanted to clear that up. For many people, I asked the question, in Piaget's theory, what do you think the role of the teacher is? People were uh, clearly in Vygotsky's theory, which is very much based on social learning, um, and the role of other people in a person's learning. Um, you know, but Piaget, in what we read, that really wasn't something that was discussed. So I posed that to people. Um, the other comments that I had is in the text, in the uh, Chinook text, Shunk, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing his name, text. He spoke about very specific learner-centered principles and constructivist instructional applications. And I think some people might have missed those. So if I provided you feedback to say, I didn't see those. That's the basis of the feedback. So oftentimes when you have the questions in the discussion, they're directly related to the content in the readings or watchings that are posed. And people had very thoughtful responses to the physical learning space. Many people talked about creating centers and talked about the layout of the room and how they would create space for people to move around or people to work in young children to work in groups and young children to work in uh, you know, with others and then also have a large group space. And the question I posed was, how does that lend itself to projects that involve time and span multiple days or multiple weeks, which leads us right into our reflections, which talked about uh, inquiry and project-based learning, as well as visual thinking routines, excuse me. Many people had very thoughtful synthesis that they provided of the content. Um, People talked about the role of the teacher, the strategies being child-centered. People recognized that project-based learning and inquiry-based learning are very related, and they are very connected. Um, people talked about the role of curiosity and constructivism clearly in project-based and inquiry-based learning. Um, so my question to you is, what role do classroom environments play? And some people did make that connection in inquiry and project-based learning environments. Um, I told some people in the comments that I would share a story in this video. So in my very first year teaching, many, many, many moons ago, um, I was eating lunch with the children. I had a mixed age group, twos, threes, and fours, children with disabilities and non-disabled children in a class. And as we were having lunch, I was sitting there eating my peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This was a time when you were allowed to eat peanut butter in the class, so it shows how long ago this was. And I had packed my sandwich in aluminum foil, and I took my aluminum foil and I, squished it up into a ball, and I was about to stand up and throw it into the recycle bin when the person sitting next to me, I was sitting at the table with the children, was a child who was a child with a disability who did not have a lot of words, and she tugged on my pants leg and she handed me her aluminum, she held up her aluminum foil. And I said, "Oh, do you want me?" Because I had mine bunched up. And so she handed me hers. And I said, do you want me to put mine with yours? So I combined it so I had a bigger ball, right? And then someone else at another table saw and said, "Oh, here's mine." And so this started our aluminum foil ball. And so that day, several people contributed to the aluminum foil ball. And instead of throwing it away, I decided to put it on the windowsill. And then I forgot about it until the next day at lunch. And then about five, six people had aluminum foil. And someone said, "Jen," and pointed up at the ball and, "Look, here's my aluminum foil." And so over the course of our year, our aluminum foil ball grew from my little bunched up aluminum foil with the person next to me to a monstrosity of an aluminum foil ball that became a focus of, I shouldn't say focus, an element of our curriculum. So we learned way more about aluminum foil than I ever thought possible. But we also learned about, measuring our ball, weighing our ball. Families told me that children wanted all of their lunch items wrapped in aluminum foil so they could contribute to the aluminum foil ball. We wrote a letter to Reynolds, who responded back to us. We took pictures of our ball as our ball grew. This ball took a life of its own. We from there we sprung into a unit on recycling. And visited, we couldn't visit an aluminum foil plant, but learned all about recycling. We watched people sort recycling. We watched them collect recycling. We went to a recycling plant, what they do with recycling. We all from our aluminum foil ball, which happened to continue to grow all year and continue to be, spur all types of discussion and activities. How do people store food? What do they use? Do they use aluminum foil? Do they use um, uh, cling wrap? Do they use containers? We had graphs and charts and all kinds of discussions from this simple act of balling up a piece of aluminum foil getting ready to throw it away and someone pulling on my pant leg and handing me theirs, and then other people joining in. This is clearly something that I never in my life would have dreamed of. I'm not sure the other children would have dreamed of either, and I don't think it's ever been replicated. Um, I don't know. Maybe it has in another classroom, another place, in another time. Never in my career has it been replicated. It's a once in a lifetime thing. And I don't think I could ever try to make it happen again because it just happened organically. Um, and this is an inquiry. Is it inquiry? I'm going to ask you, is it inquiry? Is it inquiry? Um, is it? So with that, I look forward to seeing your week 3 posts, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Be well.